No one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you, for you, for you, for you. I know for certain the one I love. I'm through with flirting, it's you that I'm thinking of. Ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you.
That was Fats Waller with Ain't Misbehavin'. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for January 31st through February 7th, 2022. On Thursday, a man was injured when a bullet grazed his face in South Chicago. According to police, around 1:30 a.m., the man was outside on 8400 block of Crandon. According to reports, an unidentified person driving a gray SUV drove up to the man and opened fire. The man was taken to Jackson Park Hospital where he was treated for his injury. He was last reported in good condition. Anyone with information on this or other Chicago crimes is asked to call 311 or leave an anonymous tip at cpdtip.com. On Saturday, a teen boy was injured in a shooting in South Chicago. Around 1:30 a.m., the teen was on the 8300 block of South Houston Avenue near Epic Academy. According to police, someone opened fire and struck the teen in the right shoulder. Details remain scarce on the shooting, and it is unclear whether the teen was the intended target. The teen was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where his condition was stabilized. A 69-year-old woman was carjacked in South Shore on Sunday. The woman was in a parked vehicle on the 6700 block of South Paxton around 11:30 a.m. Police report that the woman was approached by two men and two women. The two men pulled the woman from her vehicle and threw her to the ground. The two women then stole items and the woman's car keys. The attackers then entered the vehicle and drove south on Paxton. The woman was not injured in the attack. On Saturday, a man opened fire on police during a high-speed chase from Hobart to Illinois. 38-year-old Nicholas Willoughby was first spotted at a Speedway gas station on the 7400 block of 61st Avenue in a black Dodge Journey. Police later saw the vehicle speeding between 81 miles per hour in a 70 mile per hour zone as it entered the ramp on I-65. The vehicle was seen weaving in and out of traffic lanes without the use of turn signals. An officer attempted to pull over the vehicle, but the driver did not stop. Police chased the vehicle north on I-65 until it merged onto I-80-94. Police from multiple agencies joined in on the chase. Gary Police, Lake County Sheriffs, and Hammond Police were joined by Chicago Police as they followed the vehicle. Around State Line and Torrance, the driver opened the driver's side door, and an officer claims to have seen a muzzle flash and heard gunfire. A Lake County Sheriff's squad car windshield was struck. Officers claim the man opened the door about 6 to 8 more times, firing multiple shots at officers. The vehicle turned on I-355, followed by police. Eventually, the vehicle crashed around 143rd and Kedzie Avenue in Bremen Township. Willoughby was taken to an undisclosed Illinois hospital. He is facing charges of unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious felon, resisting law enforcement, using a vehicle, and reckless driving in Lake County. Charges in Illinois, where he fired the shots, are currently pending. A Hammond man was charged for stealing over $1 million worth of watches from a downtown Chicago Gold Coast car dealership. 38-year-old Carlos Valiant is accused of participating in a smash and grab that took place at the Bentley Gold Coast dealership on 800 block of Rush Street on December 11, 2021. Surveillance video shows the attack. Police claim one of the men stood by the door with a gun while the other smashed glass displays to steal luxury watches. Police claim the watches were worth over $1 million. Valiant was in Lake County Jail for an unrelated charge and was charged with theft and burglary in Cook County for the incident on Thursday. An extradition for Valiant has been filed in Cook County. Early Saturday morning, a fire broke out in Hegewisch that led to a trip to the hospital for a woman and two firefighters. According to reports, the fire occurred around 1 a.m. at a home on the 13400 block of South Burley. The woman, aged 32, was taken to Trinity Hospital for smoke inhalation. The two firefighters reportedly only received minor injuries. All were last reported in good condition. The Northwest Indiana Times reported over the weekend that the Indiana Department of Labor fined 3 Northwest Indiana companies for safety violations. 2 Hammond companies, Resco Products and Jupiter Aluminum, were both fined. Resco Products was fined $18,825 for several serious safety violations. Resco Products, located at 5501 Kennedy Avenue in Hammond, develops refractory products which are used by other industries. The company was fined for violations that included exposing employees to falls and fire and explosion hazards where combustible dust was present. Jupiter Aluminum, that is in the business of recycling aluminum, reportedly had serious safety violations where employees were exposed to falling hazards and the company had not established procedures for energy control, such as shutting down equipment. A third company, Hearthside Food Solutions, in Michigan City was fined $17,500 for not having machine guardings that protect employees from hazards and exposing employees to hazards. Over the weekend, the Chicago Tribune posted more information on 2020 emails FOIA'd from the Lightfoot administration on the issue around RMG's Southside Recycling, formerly known as General Iron. According to reports, emails showed Lightfoot attempting to hide the details of the debate within her administration over the issue. The emails allegedly showed Lightfoot reprimanding staff for sending her emails and memos that could later be made public through FOIA. A November 2020 email showed Lightfoot scolding Angela Tovar over a memo. Tovar, who is a native of South Chicago and is now the city's chief sustainability officer, wrote to Lightfoot and several other high-ranking aides. It is my understanding that you have had the opportunity to hear from the city's law department directly, and I want to give you another perspective. Lightfoot responded to her, I have asked now several times for there to be no more correspondence and writings that are not protected by privilege, adding, I am happy to engage in conversation, but it must be done in a way that does not expose this administration to risk. Lightfoot later sent an email to a group of policy officials and her chief of staff, telling them to stop the childish fighting and get on the same page, before demanding that they stop corresponding by email and memo. She stated, quote, stop sending around memos and emails about pending litigation that is not protected by privilege. If you want to talk to me, pick up the phone. The Tribune reports that Lightfoot's staff redacted most of Tovar's memo, claiming the memo contained strategic recommendations. The parts of the memo that were unredacted discussed the conflict between General Iron and community leaders. She discussed the filing of a HUD complaint by activists claiming that the city violated the Fair Housing Act. She wrote, based on its history of moving industrial uses to low-income communities of color, as exemplified in the September 2019 agreement between the city and General Iron to enable the relocation of its business and operations from the well-off north side to the southeast side environmental justice community. The memo also states community leaders describe General Iron's history of violations and the city-approved plan to allow General Iron's operations to move to what the memo says residents claim is an already overburdened environmental justice community. The city is planning an additional community meeting on the 15th, and it is expected to issue a decision soon after. Currently, environmental groups have been negotiating with the city and the federal government on the HUD complaint. Generally, HUD complaints result in settlements, although environmental group leaders have been silent as to what they are negotiating with the Department of Housing. The Hegewisch Ford plant will again close due to ongoing semiconductor shortage. The Northwest Indiana Times reports that the plant located on 1260 South Torrance will again temporarily lay off workers as the plant idles. The plant, which was shut down for most of July, has been shutting down regularly over the past several years due to issues with shortages of semiconductor chips. The chip shortages began during the U.S.-China trade war that began under the Trump administration. The shortages of chips that are used in car rearview cameras, parking assist, and other technological features, not only in cars but in other products, has continued. The current shortages have also been augmented by supply chain issues due to ship transportation and regulations during the COVID pandemic. The plant will be down the week of February 7th. The Northwest Indiana Times states that several of the auto suppliers that serve the plant across the region may also idle until the assembly plant resumes operations. This may also include the Chicago stamping plant in Chicago Heights. And finally, the Whiting Robertsdale Historical Society is seeking help in identifying the names of people and photos left behind at George Rebel's photography studio. The Historical Society is holding a photo ID day at Studio 659, located at 1413 119th Street, between 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. The Rebel photos include graduations, first communions, weddings, and other photos. Rebel owned the photo studio that opened in the early 1940s and closed around 1960. Verbel had worked for the government and labs at the University of Chicago. He served as a government courier, Russian translator, and according to his family, worked on projects related to the atom bomb and lunar probe. Verbel's studio was located at 1830 Indianapolis Boulevard and will later become P&H Printing. Regular hours for the Historical Society are on Sundays between 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Anyone interested in more information can call Gail at 219-659-8129. And that ends our weekly review for January 31st to February 7, 2022. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.
Like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere. What do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. out late, no place to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you.